Hello, everyone, and welcome to the course How to Pass Your Driving Test. My name is Josh Barron, and I'm a certified driver education instructor, and I'm also a certified automobile examiner. And in the years that I've done this, I've tested thousands of individuals. And when you test thousands of individuals, you see a lot. And I learned that many individuals just don't know how to pass their driving test, don't know what the examiner's looking for, don't know how the point systems are set up, don't know the automatic fails. And that's what this course is all about, what it takes to pass your driving test. Now, I am going to put a disclaimer in there that this is not a driver education course. This isn't driver's ed. This course isn't going to teach you how to drive. This course is going to teach you how to successfully and effectively pass your driving test. And the vast majority of people that have taken this course pass it the first time around. And I look forward to being able to use my knowledge and experience in helping you pass this test the first time around. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First of all, the driving test outline. So anytime you get to the testing site, the first thing to do is they're going to look at your documents and they're going to inspect them, make sure they're all valid and accurate. We're going to go through that here momentarily. From there, you're going to go on to the pre-drive vehicle inspection checklist, which covers all the different components of your vehicle that have to work properly and effectively. We'll cover that momentarily as well. After you pass that, then you're getting to the backing exercises. Now, a lot of states have backing exercises. Some states don't have any backing exercises at all. We'll talk about which states do which, and there's a lot of different backing exercises that we're going to cover as well, like the maneuverability test, the parallel park, the straight line back, sight side backing, basic control skills. We'll cover what those mean, even backing around a curb, backing around a corner. We're going to talk about those things and how to pass the parking and the backing exercises. From there, after you pass that, you're moving on to the road portion of the driving test. Now, I will tell you the majority of testing sites, they use the public road, where you hit the open road, and that's where you're going, where you're making your turns, or you're making your stops, and everything else. Now, there is a few around the country that do the closed course, but most of them are going to be the public road. I will tell you, your backing exercises are typically done on a closed course in a parking lot type atmosphere. So we'll talk about that more later on. And the examiner's goal is to determine your ability to safely operate a vehicle and obey traffic laws. Now that's what they're doing. That's what I do. Determine your ability to safely operate a vehicle and obey traffic laws. If you're obeying the traffic laws and you could drive your vehicle safely, chances are you're going to get your driver's license. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of different mistakes that you can make, and we'll talk about that, but that is the goal. Determine your ability to safely operate your vehicle, and do you understand and can you obey traffic laws? And the reason why this is important, especially for teenagers, is because traffic crashes are the #1 cause of death for teenagers in the U.S. And that's part of the reason at 16 years old, you got to go take your road test because of this right here. So there's different things, especially teens need to watch out for, that you guys and gals are privy to as far as different mistakes that you tend to make on the road. We'll talk about those coming up in the PowerPoint here. So first of all, the required documents and information is you need your driver's permit. Now, this is called something different in different states. So it might be called the temporary instruction permit, might be called just your learner's permit, but it's your permit to drive. That's what makes you legal to drive with a parent or guardian, a friend, another licensed driver, so on and so forth. Under 18, you're issued a graduated driver's license, which is your GDL. So under 18, it's essentially your learner's permit. But what it is you need to have it for at least 6 months in a lot of states. You got to have at least 50 hours of driving, 10 of which being at night before you take your skills test. So there's different no accidents or tickets in the first year, 6 months of driving. So there's a lot of different regulations with that. We'll talk about that later on. And then if you have any restrictions on your license, so on your license, if it says corrective lenses restriction, that means you have to have either contacts or glasses on while you do your driver's test. And I've seen that happen before, where people have this restriction on their license, they show up without contacts or glasses, and, well, they're not going to be able to do the test. The ignition interlock device. So individuals that have DUIs or OWIs, chances are they got to put one of those in their vehicle. In order to start the vehicle, they got to blow into it and blow zeros. And if you have that restriction on your license, you got to have that installed in your vehicle. Next, you got to have your current registration and valid insurance. That's important. So your vehicle's got to be legal. Current registration, and you got a valid unexpired insurance. Seems like everybody's got a copy of an expired insurance in their vehicle, but you got to show a valid one. So checking that out beforehand, really, really important. And then inspection and emissions test sticker if your state requires it. So I would say it's about 50-50 right now. 50% of states don't require an inspection emissions test. 50% of states do. So if you don't, then don't worry about that. If your state does require an inspection emission sticker, well, make sure you have it. That way the examiner can check that out. That's part of that current registration and making sure that vehicle is legal to go on the road. And then have a licensed driver accompany you to the road test. That's important. If you don't know or have a licensed driver, ask your neighbor. Give them $20 and say, hey, can you drive with me to the road test? Otherwise, they might not do the test. And then bring money for the road test. That's important. A lot of them require cash or check. Some of them require credit card. I know I always was able to do credit card, but not everybody. And then some require you to pay online as well. So if they require you to pay online, then pay online beforehand and take a picture of that receipt online, so that way you can show them, hey, I paid and I'm good to go to start the test. All right, now from there, passed all the paperwork, everything looks good. Now the examiner is going to do your pre-drive vehicle checklist. And what this is making sure the vehicle is legal and safe to drive on the roads, and making sure you know how to operate it and where different things are at. So first of all, they're going to say, all right, go and give me your left turn signal. All right, you got it on. Right turn signal, you got it on. Front of the vehicle, back of the vehicle. And now give me your hazards, your full-way flashers. I will tell you, a lot of younger people, for whatever reason, don't know where their hazards are at. You say, put on your full-way flashers or put on your flash or your hazards. They don't know where they're at. So make sure you know where they're at. Every car is a little bit different. Sometimes it's right above the steering wheel column. Sometimes it's right on the dash. You'll see it's a triangle, and hit that. Those are your flashers. And then brake lights. Brake lights have to work. You got your left and your right brake light, and for your center rear mounted brake light for 1986 and newer vehicles. This one right here, this one right here. So that's got to work as well. And once again, do this days, weeks prior to your test, as well as the morning of your test, so to make sure that it all works. Lights do burn out from time to time. That way you can get that fixed and make sure all your brake lights and lights are working properly. Horn, go and beep your horn. Headlights, being able to turn them on. So during the day, a lot of times your headlights don't come on automatically. Know how to manually turn your headlights on. That's important. And then know how to operate your windshield wipers and your washer fluid. A lot of times it's right to the left. Sometimes it's right to the right of the steering wheel. But know how that works and operates in your vehicle. And then your mirrors. Make sure they're adjusted before you begin driving. That's important. You don't want to be going down the road and you look in your mirrors and it's like, oh, well, they're not adjusted to me. They're adjusted to my mom that brought me to the test. No. Make sure they're adjusted for you. Adjust them before you begin driving. That way you can see down the left and right side of your car. And you should be able to see just a little bit of the left side of your car and a little bit of the right side of your car as well. And let's see here, being able to engage and disengage the parking/emergency brake. Now, I find a lot of younger people do not know how to do this. And the fact of the matter is, say you have a brake line that blows out and your brake pedal goes all the way to the floor. How are you going to stop that vehicle safely? You guessed it, the parking/emergency brake. So know where it's at. Know how to engage it. Know how to disengage it. Now, I will tell you, just putting an automatic transmission in park will suffice for most examiners. But important to know how to engage and disengage the parking brake. You can get marked down points for not knowing how to do that. All right, next we're looking at speedometer. Speedometer's got to work. Got to know how fast you're going. Seatbelts. You have to wear the seatbelt during the parking exercises and out on the road. Seatbelts are required. Make sure you put them on and that they work properly. Your windshield can have no cracks and with a fully unobstructed view. That's important. Sometimes people showed up with big cracks in the windshields and big things like that where you just couldn't see very well. The examiner's probably not going to be able to do the test with a vehicle like that. Look at that windshield. Make sure there's no cracks. Make sure the main part of the window, there's an unobstructed view. And then license plates. So 2 license plates are required in most states. So a lot, like the majority of states, require 2 license plates. If you're one of the states that require just 1 license plate, that's fine too. States like Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, North Carolina, Tennessee, New Mexico, Indiana, you require just 1 plate. Good for you. We're a little jealous over here. But if you do require 2, make sure you have 2 plates. If your state just requires 1 plate, well, make sure you have that 1 plate on there. Able to turn on and off the defroster. That's important. A lot of younger people, it seems, don't even know what the defroster is. You say, well, turn on the defroster. Well, how do I do that? Well, my window's all fogging up. What do I do? You turn on your defroster. So make sure you know where the defroster is, how to turn it on, how to turn it off. And then the brake reaction test. I will tell you, this is really just Washington that has this test. But what is it? With the vehicle off, the examiner will say, put your foot on the gas pedal, and when I say stop, step on the brake pedal as fast as you can, stop. And then boom, move your foot from the gas pedal to the brake pedal, and that's the brake reaction test. I will tell you, the vast majority of states don't have that. Just Washington has that test that I'm familiar with. All right, so more about the vehicle checklist. So the driver and passenger doors must open from inside and out. Makes sense. You shouldn't have to grab a crowbar to open up your door. That's a problem. They should be able to open from the inside and out. No service or warning lights illuminate on the dashboard, and half full fuel tank. And I will tell you, some examiners are really strict about that. Some testing sites are, and some testing sites and examiners don't care whatsoever. Honestly, I've had people show up to the testing site with their low fuel light on. And I still examined them. I still tested them. You know, it's one of those things. It's the examiner's discretion. So for you, I would play it safe and make sure you have a full fuel tank. And then depending on the testing site, give them a call and say, hey, my engine light's on. It's for this stupid reason. I can't get it off, which is very common nowadays, and say, will you still test my vehicle? And they'll say yes or no. I will tell you, that never bothered me whatsoever. And somebody had their engine light on or ABS light. Well, that doesn't really bother me. Let's continue on down the road. Those are all too common on the majority of vehicles nowadays with as much technology as they're putting on there and sensors and different things. And then tires properly inflated and lug nuts present and tight. Yeah, I mean, don't show up with 1 lug nut or tires on the rim. You know, check your tires. Make sure they're properly inflated. Make sure lug nuts are present and they're tight. That makes sense. And then your hand arm signals must know how to do them and use them when your lights aren't working. That's important as well. There's several states that test this, that want you to know, all right, what are the proper hand signals? If your lights aren't working and you want to drive your vehicle down the road, how are you going to do it? So if you don't know this, go through this slide a couple of times. And I will encourage you guys, that if you want to go through this material a few times, feel free to do so. I will tell you, there's a ton of material on this PowerPoint. Watch it, rewind it, go back a week from now and do it over again. It'll be very helpful to you because there's a lot of information on here. So, all right, so we're turning left. How do we do it? Left arm straight out. Just like this, straight out. That's going to indicate that you're turning left. Right, left arm up at a 90-degree angle. Looks something like this. Kind of up in the sky. You got your hand straight out. And that means we're turning right. We're turning right. And then stop, left arm down at a 90-degree angle like this. That tells us that, hey, we're slowing down, we're stopping. That is kind of the equivalent of brake lights in the hand-arm signal environment. So make sure you know the proper hand and arm signals out on the road. All right, so turning. So a lot of different fails and mistakes that you can make while turning. I'm going to read through this and then we'll break down some of the stuff here. So use correct lane when turning. Yes. So a lot of times to make a left on a 2-lane road like this, or a 4-lane road, 2 lanes go in the same direction, you got to be on the inside lane here, and then you want to turn to the inside lane, left to left, and then merge right. Now, the examiner's not going to tell you go left to left and merge right. That's just something you have to do. That's what's legal, and you got to use the right turn lane. Just like making a right here, you got to use the right lane and turn into the right lane. If you turn into the outside lane, that's not the correct lane. You can get pointed for that, and that's an automatic fail in some states. Same thing here. You're making a left, do not get right into that outside lane. Go left to left, the inside lane, then merge right. That is the proper way to do that. So about 8 to 12 miles an hour for a right-hand turn. So we're going slow. 10 to 20 miles an hour for a left-hand turn. Once again, we're not going very fast when we're making turns. And then watch for bicyclists and pedestrians. So a lot of times you have a crosswalk here, you got a crosswalk here. And so if you're making a right-hand turn, well, there could be people coming across this direction, could be people coming across this direction, there could be people coming across this direction. And so paying attention to what's going on before you turn is important. Same with the left-hand turn. You come out here, well, you want to be paying attention right here, making sure no one's walking across, no one's biking across the road right here while you're paying attention to oncoming traffic, and then find the appropriate gap and make your turn. And you want to signal at least 100 feet before turning. If you are driving less than 35 miles an hour, and if you're driving more than 35 miles an hour, signal at least 300 feet before turning, which is about 3 to 4 seconds before your turn. So most states require minimum 100 feet. Minimum 100 feet before turning, turn on that turn signal. Otherwise, you can get pointed for a late or a no turn signal whatsoever. You are not required to turn right on red. So I am also a CDL instructor, and one of the companies I worked for a while ago, it was a company policy that they did not allow you to turn right on red in their semi trucks. And I will tell you the reason for that is because there's a lot of dangers associated with that. So if you turn right on red, that tells you that these individuals, this lane right here has a green light, and that means they're going to be coming up right here. They could be coming left right here, depending on how the traffic light is set up. Plus, you got pedestrians coming across here, and it can be dangerous. If you feel comfortable turning right on red, that's fine. Make a complete stop, see that it's clear, double, triple check, and then go and proceed in the right lane. But if you don't feel comfortable, once again, you're not required to turn right on red. That is completely fine.